And hi guys, hi and welcome to this live trailer reaction of the very latest Prince of Persia remake. Actually, from the recent Ubisoft Forward that I just couldn't cover. So yeah. Okay guys, so the most important thing that came out of there. Oh, why am I hearing myself? Okay, I saw why. So the most important thing that came out
G'day, guys
was
and gal.
this. Oh, sorry. Was this trailer and one more game that is very awesome. Well, it looks like it, but this is like a huge thing because it's Prince of Persia, and I've been getting so many messages like saying, Gary, there's gonna be a Prince of Persia game," and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, we heard the rumors, but I personally didn't expect that it's going to be a remake, which is not a new game, it's a remake, but it is a remake of an original Prince of Persia game that I never ever played. So for me, I started gaming a lot later, so to speak, and this game was never in my radar. So, without further ado, let's see it, guys. And of course, welcome to my dear Primarchs in the chat, the one and only dear Clayton and dear Ivy. But without further ado, guys, let's see Prince of Persia.
Most people think time is like a river that flows swift and sure in one direction. But I have seen the face of time, and I can tell you, they are wrong.
Inside the hourglass is a marvel no living man has ever seen. Only the dagger can unlock the sands of time. No!
I saw
Ooh.
my father turn to sand.
You cannot defeat this enemy. The sands will consume everything.
Come with me then. But I warn you, I move pretty fast. You'd better keep up.
Prince! The dagger! It can turn back time!
Oh boy.
Give me the dagger!
Oh. Okay, that's freaking amazing.
I brought this on us.
You are brave and good.
Don't let go!
Quackuluki.
Oh, this looks epic. Okay, I mean, the music is amazing. Ubisoft are so good in any types of presentations, actually. A lot, a lot more than the games themselves sometimes. Okay. Does anyone ever play this, guys? Because it's really before my time. But, I want to point out something. I want actually to see the original game. I've seen some glimpse of it, but this still looks so dated that they're just unbelievable. I don't understand technically how things work precisely. I mean, I understand that they can replace models, but why they cannot do them a bit better, it still looks very old game. Of course it's better, but this still looks like game that's like 10 years old. Despite looking better than the original game, despite re-recording the voices and redoing some of the motion capture, you still see a freaking plastic faces
But
here
I warn you, I move pretty fast. You'd
with barely any facial animation. So, of course, there's so many improved things, and I pray to God that the gameplay itself is more more swift and good, because a lot of times when you play other games, you just feel very restrained in terms of movement. Just if you ever played the original Assassin's Creed games, which I have, I played every single one of them, is just, I mean, the feeling was like somebody caught me in a rope and I was trying to move. So that is something that never struck me back in the day, Assassin's Creed days when I first started gaming. But then I started to realize that when I switched to other games that were a bit ahead of time. So that 100% seems to be not an issue here. The other thing is that since we saw a demo that I also covered, like I think 2-3 months ago, demo. Well, it was just basically a Prince of Persia game that was never made. Well, that was also old, but a lot newer than this, and that was a Prince of Persia game that was never finished, and it's really a big bummer. It looked a lot more modern than this. Even this as a remade version looks older than the demo. That's very old. You know what I mean? That is awesome. I mean, everything in this game has going for it is mostly the improved graphics and basically the freaking nostalgia that most of us that ever played Prince of Persia do have. So it's a must-have game for me, no matter what I say about the what I see technically. I just literally and objectively want to know why they can't make something look present. If they're going to remake it, why remake it to a game that was like from 10 years back? It's just I don't understand. Maybe it's a bit easier, I don't know, but if you're going to make something that's gonna come out in 2021, just make it look at least from 2000 and I don't know 18. That just like literally, no matter how much I love the original, I mean the series in general, that does not make me biased in any way, because Ubisoft is Ubisoft, it's a studio and they have all the resources available to make this look a lot more modern. So my guess is that the obstacle here is not a technical one. It's more like money wise, they just don't want to spend money, resources, manpower, man girl power to make the game look more like next or at least current gen. I would be happy with current gen, but judging by even the Assassin's Creed games, which once again one of my most favorite series ever, although it's very flawed in a lot of ways, but still my literal like second favorite ever series, since I am a gamer, since I became a gamer, and all of those minuses that Assassin's Creed ever had and still has. I still freaking love Assassin's Creed, but the engine is so dated now. I mean, Odyssey looks amazing, but when you see the cutscenes from Valhalla and when you see the actual gameplay and how the characters move like a freaking robot from the year 2015, the reality just strikes me that wow, this is so old. And of course the other thing is that the world is open, so when it's an open world, there's certain limitations that they have to have in mind. But when you see a worlds like, well, the world of The Witcher, and that is an old game, it still looks amazing. I played The Witcher like just a few months ago. I returned to the game, revisited. If somebody, I mean, some of you have watched these streams, you can see that it's like freaking game that just came out. I mean, it's not, it's a bit dated as well in some aspects. You can see like the hair, other stuff, but overall, it's still a game that impresses. And it is a bit more advanced in some aspects when you compare it to Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Just purely on how the NPCs look and the graphics altogether. Although once again, there's so many amazing like textures and just design and just how metal shines in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I'm talking mostly about the people, the people. It's what sometimes helps immerse you in the world, and if they move like wooden sticks and if they look like wooden sticks, you're kind of are reminded that you are still in this world from a few years ago. And in every single one of those Assassin's Creed games, since they progressed, they really progressed, but not in that way that, yeah, we just switched a generation. They are still with the same freaking engine from 5, 6 years ago. So I do think that that needs to change. Maybe after Valhalla, we are going to see a major change, but it's every time. I mean, now we're switching generations, yeah, and Valhalla is going to be like it's a current gen game. I mean, I'm not kidding myself that in any way it's next gen. Yeah, no matter how much I want to be a next gen, yeah, it's not. So every time I'm like hopeful that they're gonna finally upgrade it and like completely change everything, but that never happens. So now we'll see what's gonna happen after Valhalla, which another year has to roll. The consoles have to be already established, and then we'll see what's gonna happen because, as you may know, when the consoles come out, the generation switches and everything changes. The new video cards are also going to come out now. You're going to see what also AMD gonna present with the new architecture of their cards and what is their answer to the Nvidia 300 series. So that's gonna be very interesting. But I'm just talking about Ubisoft and how they do things. They have all the money, all the manpower and the girl power, but still they're giving us things that are very, very old gen. And if you even look Watch Dogs, Legion, everything is so old. Yeah, they put on ray tracing inside, but the NPCs, the people, once again, everything extremely dated. How they move, how they act, everything just put on Watch Dogs 2, and you're gonna see the same uh, the same blueprint. It's absolutely the same. It might have you might have different cities. That doesn't matter because the engine and everything else is freaking the same. So yeah, I just wish that that is upgraded. But other than that, Ubisoft is gonna be Ubisoft. Of course, that if we have a game that's old as this, if you play the original game now, maybe it won't even run on Windows 10. A lot of older games will not even run, so that's great to have a new, renewed game so you can actually play it in today's times. But as a fan of Prince of Persia, one of the first games that I ever touched in my life in general, I just wish that they just made it a bit more modern like. But ahoy, by the way, to everybody else that came from Warhammer to the Prince of Persia. Uh, Mr. Cactus. Yeah, I am a Bulgarian, but that doesn't mean that I understand everything that you say in Russian. I mean, you can also speak, I mean, I can also talk to you in Bulgarian. You're probably gonna understand maybe 50-60%, but it's not like in English. I can understand perfectly in English, but in Russian, not exactly. Uh, oh, they always say, Dimitar, they always say it's an alpha footage, but if you ever watched any any Ubisoft presentation, like they say with Assassin's Creed, where it's like very very early on footage, what they showed actually before the Ubisoft 4, the first one, there was Assassin's Creed Valhalla footage that, sorry, I hit my mic, that leaked, and they say, well, they that is very old. But then when we saw what they actually presented, it was the freaking same quality footage. So I mean, same quality of the graphics, of the NPCs, of the dialogue, everything looked very, very unfinished and unpolished. I just doubt that that's gonna improve in the finished game just based on the previous things that are proven with time, with their track record. Every time is the same thing. Oh, this is very early on, and then we see the same thing when the game comes out. So I no longer believe that it's like the lying sheep boy. I forgot how that was in English now. But shepherd, yeah, the lying boy shepherd that was like, oh, wolf, wolf, and then there's no wolf, and yeah, and then nobody believed them. After a while, that he continued to call wolf. Well, of course, he was eaten at the end, but that's yeah, that's besides the point. Okay. Hey, oh, Wizababun, you're here. Yeah, I know it's been such a long time. I know that, but my point is that if they're gonna change visually the game, why not change it to more modern look? That's just my point. What is the difference for them technically, I just see very minimal effort, although they did show the actors how they recaptured those, their performance. That doesn't have anything to do with the graphics. I mean, it's one effort from the actors and from the audio team and from the CGI team to capture their performance, but it's another to make the graphics. Those are two different things, themes, all of that. No matter how I mean, what you see in the picture, that's not gonna be the game. The real remaster is going to be if the game actually looks like the freaking picture, and that's not gonna happen. Like, remember my words. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna look like a cartoon models speaking. I'm pretty sure of that. Uh, and once again, I don't want to be how is the word for that? A Debbie Downer? No, not sure, but yeah, you know what I mean. Well, I don't think that you. Whistle baboon. I don't think that you're putting, so to speak, any kind of a high bar. The fact that they did improve that doesn't mean that that's the best that they can do. I just think that that's the minimum that they can actually do. That's just what I mean. I don't even doubt that they have a new engine, honestly. Well, I do read the chat, but I just have to finish my my thoughts, Momko. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is okay to post links in the chat. Well, okay, Dimiter. Okie dokie, guys. So, well, that is it. You know that I'm always going to say, like I said, I'm not biased towards anything, even Assassin's Creed. As much as I love it, I am totally aware of all the freaking, minuses that it has. And I would love to play this. Hmm, they make of a masterpiece. Maybe it was. I don't know, but I mean, like I've said, a lot of games are just not what we. Oh, that's so beautiful. Just not what we remember them being. An exact example of this was when I returned to Sin Episodes Emergency. Yeah, that was my favorite FPS game once. And I was like, wow, I just love this game. It's so great. I'm popping brains left and right. And when I put it on my PC, I was like, this is so stiff. I cannot turn my head around. It just is not like, well, whatever first person game you can think of. Just, Call of Duty and Destiny, Battlefield, what else? I mean, like I said, whatever first person game you can think of, it's just not at all. It's just so stiff. And I remember playing this and I was like so impressed back in the day, So when I put it now, I cannot stand it because of the same thing, the restraint of movement. So when you play the games before, you're like, oh, they're so awesome. When you put them on now, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I play this? Well, because I mean, that was the standard, so we are all used to this. But when games improve and they became a lot more dynamic and free in terms of movement, it's just like night and day difference. Then you see the difference. When you don't have anything to compare it to, you cannot see the difference, of course. The other revelation that I felt similar to this was when I was getting into RPGs. This last few days, I posted my stream of Kingdoms of Amalur. It was also remastered, and also they didn't do anything to remaster it. It's almost one to one the same game. Really, I mean, yeah, some special effects all together, but overall it's the same game as I remember it. Pixels, all of those things improve, but lighting, the models are still wouldn't barely open their mouths. All those things are still the same. Anyway, so the point is that when I played Two Worlds before, when I played even Skyrim, I was always bummed out that when you hit something, when you move in an RPG, it's very limited. It's not like an action game, but Kingdoms of Amalur changed all that, and the movements for the first time was very free. It was, I mean, the fighting was like an action game. It is, and you had so many weapons, including chakrams, and I've never seen chakrams in a game before. And well, if you don't count Xena, but Xena games are very old, from PS1 and PS2 era, and there's nothing modern except Kingdoms of Amalur, so I was very impressed with that. So immediately you're getting the armor, you're getting the swords, you can hit, block everything, you can move, you can feel the impact upon hit. So that was just revolutionary when it comes to RPGs, and then other games started to incorporate RPG elements, and eventually we got The Witcher 3, and it felt a lot better. We got, well, I don't remember exactly how it was. Jesus Christ. Uh, Dragon Age Inquisition. I don't remember how that was in terms of combat, if it was that dynamic and free, but I liked the game, so probably it was not that bad. Maybe I should revisit that as well. Not really sure. And yeah, so then Assassin's Creed became like an action RPG. And here we are. I mean, now we have a mix between the two, and it's just the best like matrimony ever for me, because I have the two things that I love the most, the action element and the RPG element, to explore open worlds, to craft armor, to make myself as upgraded as shiny as possible, which is my favorite part in RPGs, to discover different weapons, to equip them and to use them. And if they do not break, I'll be happy with that. But that's another topic of RPG mechanics. So yeah, guys, that is what I wanted to say. But I do want like a brand new next freaking gen Prince of Persia game, because we haven't had any for years, and this is going to scratch, of course, our fans' itch to a big point, especially considering that a lot of people did not play this game like me, because it's like super old. So that's gonna be great. I'm just finishing reading your comments here. Yeah, I mean, that's gonna scratch the itch, but we do have to have a full-fledged game at some point. Just no brainer. Maybe they are actually developing the game and we just don't know about it. I personally had some people that knew some people that worked in Ubisoft. Maybe I'm gonna be able to extract some inside information. I knew about Odyssey like 2 years before it came out, and I think I knew about Syndicate, yeah, beforehand. What it's gonna be about before any official info. And if I can understand, I mean, if I can find out about this, it's gonna be awesome. Well, thank you, PR. Well, thank you too for watching. Mm-hmm. Oh, hope is lost. No, no, no. Yeah, we did do Assassin's Creed Rogue, which, although I'm not working at Ubisoft Bulgaria, I'm very proud of our team because that is one very good Assassin's Creed game, and as far as I know, is fully developed here in our Bulgarian studio. So yeah, I don't know how many of us are here. I mean, how many people are now working in the Bulgarian studio, but if they are working on something, it's probably like fragments of different projects, like let's say graphics for something and titles for another game and menus, which if they are able to make a whole game, it's kind of ridiculous not to let them do that, but who knows what Ubisoft are thinking. So yeah, we'll see guys, but that is it. Thank you very much for watching. I'm excited for this, but before that we have Valhalla, and before that we have the new... Damn it, I have to cover that as well. The new Greek mythology, Ubisoft game that they're releasing, also RPG that's kind of like Zelda, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, with the paint job of Overwatch, that's how I describe it. I'm personally excited for that, so if I can cover that too tomorrow. But until then, guys, I'm gonna let you know, just follow, well, here and Facebook, and I'm gonna announce it if I'm gonna do it. What else? Let's see what else before I go. Aha, okay. Okay, guys. So, thank you super very much for watching. One more time, big shout out to Ivy for his contribution, becoming an honorable Astartes member of the Imperium. And and guys, check out the links down below if you also like to support me at OnlyFans, Patreon, Streamlabs, or becoming a member, getting the cool made by me emojis and, well, yeah, cool badges. So have a good night, have a great, yeah, Tuesday, and Jesus Christ, this week it's just started and I'm like, what day was it? Oh yes. So yeah guys, see you tomorrow. Till next time with me, Gear G Reviews, and sleep well, guys, my fellow Astartes. Bye bye.